Halloween edition tour!
Hooray!
I am Watts, the former editor-in-chief of BnB Gaming. I'm here with some of my former colleagues today to talk about gaming last year and this year. And just in case you're listening to this sometime in the weird future, and I don't know why this would still be on the internet then, it is the year 2014. It's actually just gone into the year 2014.
And if you're listening in the past, it is the year 2014. We have flying cars on track.
Point tonight.
Oh god, I've already lost all of it. Yes, basically we're going to be talking about gaming from last year and stuff which is going to happen this year. So last year's stuff, as I have been informed moments before we started recording, essentially be our sort of highlights of the year, games of the year, how our lives have crumbled since we all disbanded at the end of 2012. I've become a raging alcoholic. I think Dex sells himself on the streets of Dublin for money.
Regularly, yes.
Yes, it's a massive clusterfuck, to put it politely. So, yes, I thought we should introduce the members of the team with me today. We've actually got almost a full house. So I'm just going to read it in the order that Skype has put in front of me. We've got Daniel Madavi. Hello, Dan. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
I can't remember what anyone did on the website, to be honest, so I'm not going to have titles. That former BnB gamer, there you go. Everyone's one of those. So, excellent. Yeah, I think it
Dan
fits.
hosted our Quake Live tournament once.
He did.
Yes.
He did.
It did. That was fun. That was very fun.
You're being very generous when you call it a tournament of any sort.
We've got the guy with probably the coolest name to have ever graced video games journalism, Mr. Sebastian.
Thank you. Okay, though.
How
are you?
Well,
who's got the coolest name? I don't know.
I don't know who's got it now. Actually, there's quite a few people with cool names of BnB Gaming fame. I was referring, of course, to Sebastian Force.
Oh, thank you.
The man, the myth, the legend. Part man, part beast.
Yes,
God, you know?
Rest in peace, Force time. That's what I should say.
Yes. The highly charged, often controversial, written scriptures of Sebastian Force. So there were some good opinions in there. There's also some good reactions as well, actually. So moving on, we've got Mr. Declan Burrows.
Hello.
Our British expat in Ireland.
That's right.
What were you again? You were some sort of editor. I don't know. You did.
I think so.
You did. So you just corrected everyone, made them feel bad.
I always made people justify their text.
Yes.
That's what I was.
Justified left.
Justified editor.
The justified editor. Yep. We've also got Mr. Rexy.
That sounds so exciting.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, Rexley?
I'm okay.
So long. I've missed you and your.
It's been forever, homie.
And your Christopher Walken impressions and the walks
How
on
you
the beaches.
doing?
Was that Rex?
Oh yeah,
Rex?
it was.
Oh, I never
Yes.
knew that those were impressions, to be honest.
No, it's me.
Yes.
Yes, move on.
Is it
This
you Optimus
podcast
Prime
talk.
right now?
We've also got Pascal Takaya, who was our North American editor, and he had some other title at some point. I can't remember. This is terrible. But he was really good with words. And you also you did Instant Replay, which was our which I was looking at the other day on YouTube. It was the what did it cover? It was sort of covering obscure hits of yesteryear.
Yeah, so you were just looking at that? I was wondering where the first hit ever on that video came from.
yeah, it wasn't a much loved series.
He's just been waiting in the dark, waiting for that hit ticker to go up 1.
You can finally die in peace.
I can finally have some sleep now.
Was it Blackthorn, the game, and is it Bayou Billy and all the other wonderful games that probably no one's ever heard of? Well, most gamers do.
They don't exist.
And last but not least, I always said to you the fan favourite. I don't know why, because no one actually ever listened to the original part. But it's Mr. Jed Morlon.
Hi, we're all fine here. How are you? I was going to lead into that with a Star Wars joke, but it kind of fell off.
No.
I forgot the
I
line.
got the reference. I'm glad you went
Yeah.
with it. So.
Thanks for
You
explaining
are-
the joke. That was good.
You are kind of the Han Solo of BnB Gaming. I don't know why or how, but just had that quick. So you shoot first and stuff. So.
Boring conversation anyway.
I was listening to the opening of one of the old podcasts the other day, and of course you always introduce him as a fan favorite, which I think you were probably right, because I think he was your favorite, and you were probably the only fan of PodBytes.
It was a very generous title.
If Martin liked you, you were automatically #1 fan favorite in the galaxy.
Nobody listened to it. I think I had a friend who my housemate listened to it. And no one else did, because we used to get away with saying some of the most ridiculous stuff. We used to, I swear, at one
live
point,
essentially.
yeah, we were just saying stuff to see if anyone was actually listening, just accusing people.
EGM, I'm sure, was listening.
Oh, God, yeah.
Egan, yeah.
Did you
Thank
put
you for
air
that.
quotes around the word friend just now?
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine the hand-wringing articles that would be written if people actually listened to us?
We could have had a letter section. It would have been amazing. dear Shits and Shites Gaming.
At least some of us listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is
I
kind
have
of
an
like
archive
listening
on my
to stuff.
computer.
So yeah, what's new, everyone?
2013 just happened.
2014?
Oh shit! Well, yeah, I mean, like, it just finished. It was cool.
Oh, okay.
Rexley, you have to break it to him gently.
Where have I been? What year is this?
It usually takes a year or two to get that news around to Declan.
Yeah, we don't actually have internet here. This is some elaborate setup with carrier pigeons and.
Well, I was just referring to you personally. You're a very fragile little boy, aren't you?
Yes, Daddy.
What have you two been doing in the last year? Exchanging all sorts of messages. Bioshock, the Big Daddy.
Told them. Told them.
Okay, I'm just going to pick someone. Seb,
You're
what have you
talking
been
about
up to?
Oh shit.
Oh God. Since I finally got a
Interesting man.
job, I've started just picking up more and more video games, which is why I was so curious to hear about everybody's game of the year. Now I was thinking, and I mean, I was looking at all the big name websites game of the year, and I think the only award that The Last of Us didn't win was like best Dragon Ball Z clone or something. Like it just took home everything. So
Ironic as it got over 9,000 awards.
This was, and yeah, I mean, for me, Last of Us probably took it. I didn't get to play as much of Saints Row 4 as I would have liked to, so I only rented it for a couple of days.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. What about you guys?
I was going to say, it's funny you mentioned Saints Row 4, because I played through that recently, and I don't know, it didn't have the magic for me, because I seem to recall giving Saints Row the Third, I think was Game of the Year, my Game of the Year on BnB whenever it was.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
2011, maybe, right?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it, but I don't know, the fourth one, it had some really good moments, but just, it just seemed like a bit of a jump bit.
I think the problem was 3 was amazing up until they introduced zombies and aliens and all kinds of other silly things. It
Kind
kind
of
of
lost the gambit.
Well, the thing about 3 was by that time you were pretty much so high on the story that, or not story, but lunacy. That's what I mean.
yeah, you kind of accepted it. It was fun.
You're like,
I still
whatever.
love that game.
I'm cool
I
with
still
it.
love that game. But 4 kind of is trying to do all of what 3 did in the final quarter.
Yeah.
I
Kinda lost the
think
gang
what 4
dynamic.
worked best as is, I don't know, it felt like it was an elaborate parody of Mass Effect 3, which worked for me.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
If you look at it from that
Every game.
perspective, it's a lot more fun.
Wasn't 4 supposed to be like the DLC for 3 to begin with?
Yeah.
Yeah. Into the Dominatrix or something.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest, it's a brilliant name. I don't know why they didn't stick with that. But, yeah.
I've never played
Okay,
Saints Row.
so... Have you never played it? Oh, you're missing out.
Never.
It's
I haven't
What game
played
are
it
you
either.
currently discussing?
yeah. I think the best one for me is probably still the second game. That just was. It was kind of just right. It wasn't too over the top, but I can see why there's so much love for 3 because it is just really funny, and it's got Burt Reynolds in it. I mean, what better than that? You know, you drive around with Burt Reynolds shooting up gangsters.
Sold.
Yes.
Are you
Okay.
still on
So
Saints Row?
what?
Are you still on Saints Row?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Well, there might have been that incident the other week. You know, which we
Isn't
won't
Keith
speak of.
David in there too?
Yes, as himself.
Yeah, Keith David as like President or Vice President Keith David or something like that.
I love that line about it's something like, I was 12 hours into the Dead Island Riptide, and I'm never going to get those hours back, or something like that. It's just like, so I don't know, it's always like you're never going to finish them or something. It's absolutely stupid, but it's a thing. So Sebastian, your game of the year 2013 then was Luigi's Mansion 2. Great choice. Moving on. No, Last of Us. Okay, did anyone else? I was going to ask, did anyone else? I may as well just get out of the way now, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be like most of the people on the podcast. Last of
No
Us.
one played
Whose
Luigi's
game of the year was it?
Last of Us.
Yeah.
Not mine.
So-
Haven't played it.
I own a
I'm-
PS3, but I haven't played it.
Yeah,
So,
I
was
actually,
I'm in the same boat as Chad. It kind of appealed to me, but I don't think
It's like, I'll wait for, a price drop.
Is it not just
Exact-
an incredibly cinematic cover shooter?
Yeah, basically.
yeah,
that's
Like,
why-
oh my god, but the story and the characters.
it's still zombies, but it was a good enough take on zombies. And listen, Spec Ops: The Line didn't come out this year, so Last of Us took it.
Yeah, when I asked myself, I was like, oh great, am I gonna pay $50 for another game with Troy Baker as the protagonist? I'm so sick of his voice.
I've seen your rantings about that on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know if I understand why you have such animosity against the voiceover guy.
I don't know. It's just, maybe because I also played the Brothers in Arms games this year, and he does the lead voiceovers in those,
Would you
and
not
also
before-
in BioShock Infinite, and also in The Last of Us. I'm like, I'm like, can't we hire someone else? Like, I don't know,
Nolan North?
not Nolan North.
Nathan Fillion.
Actually, Nolan North had
Stewart.
one in Nolan North's role in Alpha Protocol is hilarious. That is like the best thing I've ever heard him in.
Who's he in Alpha Protocol?
He played Stephen Heck, one of the handlers,
Ooh.
the insane
Nice.
one in Thailand.
Oh, yeah, he was funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
great game.
All right.
Great game.
All right. I seem to have
Great
derailed
game.
that a bit.
That's
I'm
great.
sorry. But apologies to Troy Baker.
Chad is
I'm interested
like
to
the
hear
Dennis
your
Miller
game
of
of the year.
BnB.
My game of the year? Honestly,
Baldur's Gate.
I'm just waiting for complete silence.
Fallout 2, game of the year every year. No.
I'm going to
13th
force you to
year
pick
in a
one
row.
that came out in
42.
2013.
But in all
Surprise
seriousness,
Chad with that question.
I don't know if I could choose a game of the year this year that actually came out this year and isn't just an HD version.
2014.
I've been having some fun playing this game called Gas Guzzlers Extreme on
Are you sure that's a game?
yes.
You're not
Gas
doing
Guzzlers.
It's like a
actual-
pornographic movie.
But it's
God.
it's basically just a racing game with some combat to it, and you can choose like from 4 voices. One is like Arnold Schwarzenegger, one is Duke Nukem, and one is Willie from The Simpsons.
That's incredible.
Is one Troy Baker?
No, but it's the most 90s PSX game you can imagine, just with modern graphics, and it brought me no end of joy.
Is this like a mod or like a total game conversion or something?
No,
Or is
it's its own game. It's like just a racing game.
Ooh.
But I've been enjoying that, and you can customize your car, and
Profile 1.
I chose to buy a DeLorean and paint it red. I don't.
Why?
Now I'm looking this up. Now I'm looking this up.
But yeah, I enjoyed that. I was just having a goofy, ridiculous amount of fun with it.
Alright, so mine is Last of Us, yours is Gas Guzzler 2013.
I'll also mention, I mean, it came out technically in 1999, but Age of Empires 2 HD.
Oh yeah.
That's fair, yeah.
It's still, it's still
How is it?
such a fun, fantastic game.
I love Age of Empires 2, but I've been kind of not sure whether I should pick up HD. Does it feel that good?
It feels exactly the same, which is how I was hoping it would feel.
Yeah, maybe that's what I want. Maybe that's what I need in my life.
I picked it up cheap in the Steam sale, so I'm very satisfied.
That's what I asked. So there's still lots of people online playing it. Because I was interested, but I want to play the online more than the single player.
Oh yeah, well the HD version surely there is, but not on the old. What was it called actually? Was it? What
Age
was
of
the old
King?
Game Zone? No, yeah, but like, what was the old multiplayer service for that?
Oh,
the Microsoft's Zone or whatever it was?
That's it. Yeah.
no,
I was
Microsoft
thinking
Zone's
that.
gone.
Yeah, but that's what it was back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
no,
yeah,
what's the other
Zone
thing they
is
had? There was
gone,
some-
and now Games for Windows Live is going to be gone pretty soon, too.
Like Game Spy.
I just want to say it's a retrospective thing. Like,
Who is that?
I think it's Seb.
Our podcast has got like
I
20
don't want to
times
listen
more
to these
hipper.
guys anymore. You know, I'm just going to put on some hip hop or whatever the hell that was, and just
Yeah.
blank everyone out. But I was going to go back in time a little bit and just say, like, losing the MSN Zone or whatever it was, like, it's one of the worst atrocities that have ever happened in games. It was shit, but it was just so good for like online gaming back in
Yeah,
sort of the.
it was crappy, but so many of the games I like to play required it.
A bit like I was going to say a bit like Steve, but Steve's not crap anymore. So, but you know, that was it was such a good service, and then the minute that went, like all those games just died.
Yeah.
So yeah, a moment, you know, raise a glass to the MSN Zone.
I sure am.
We could all play Age of Empires 2, and is it Asheron's Cool was the other one, wasn't there? Rainbow Six, that was popular.
Was X-Wing versus TIE Fighter on that?
It might have been. I think that, and definitely X-Wing Alliance was. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's when that's one of the first ones I sort of really got into online. That and Galactic Battlegrounds and Force Commander. Me and about 20 other people in the world playing that abysmal piece of ass. You know, it's just terrible.
Do any of you have the next gen consoles? Does anybody?
Nope.
I have a PS4.
Are we counting the Wii U as
I was going to say, does the Wii U count?
Next Wii U is
Yeah.
lost. Nintendo have just caught up with PS3.
yeah.
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah,
Like
no, I picked up a PS4. Lots of fun. I am loving it.
Yeah. Join the club.
playing current gen games is slightly higher HD. Way.
Are you? I mean, I've heard Resogun was good.
Oh, it's amazing.
That is amazing.
It is
Seriously
really
amazing.
So addictive.
It's really it starts off really easily. You know,
Yeah.
I sort of think like, oh, there's no challenge to this, and it just racks up. Like after sort of like the third or fourth level, it's just
Yeah.
so much screen.
Is it like Super Stardust then? Because I remember.
Very similar.
Yeah,
Oh, it is, yeah.
yeah, you know, sort of R-Type greatest, but sort of in a circular. fashion.
Gallagher.
It's, yeah.
So worth the purchase? Question mark.
Well,
Awesome.
yeah, it's worth the purchase when the next lot of games come out. For the time being, I've got Killzone, which is spectacularly good, and Resogun, which is spectacularly good. But Resogun's really just an indie game, of which I can play tons on my PC, and Killzone is a console shooter when I play PC, so it's not quite as good as a PC shooter, but
I'm not sold on
Yeah.
Killzone myself, but
I've enjoyed it a lot. I've really, really enjoyed it. It's actually fantastic, and it's the best. I'm the only good console shooter before Killzone that I think is out there is GoldenEye, and that came out quite a long time ago.
what about Perfect Dark?
The one for the
Time
Wii?
Splitters.
About Halo 1.
Okay,
Halo
yeah,
1.
Perfect
Yeah.
Dark's right. Halo is terrible. Halo is awful. Put it on PC.
It was
and it's-
amazing.
ah.
Oh yeah, if you play the PC version is awful. It is a console shooter, you know.
I liked Halo
Yeah.
Reach.
No, I Reach. No, not for me.
I've only
You guys
played
remember-
the first Halo, and that was on PC a long time ago, so I don't
I like
remember it.
Halo 4.
Oh man, that was a
I'll
car
go-
crash of a game.
I'm fine.
Really?
You guys remember
Halo?
Halo Wars?
Oh, Halo
Yeah.
Wars is actually really good fun.
Really?
Did that ever
Yeah,
come
I-
to the PC?
No,
I
it
think
didn't. It was
I
Xbox.
think they quietly
360
forgot
only.
about
Right, let's make an RTS and not put it on a PC. That's smart.
Yeah. So that Age of Empires 2 was actually on the PS2 at one stage.
What?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it. Yeah. Mm.
It exists.
So is that so? Dan and Rexley, you both have PS4s then?
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a PS4 by association. My housemate has one, so I have played it, but I don't own it.
I guess I'm curious. Like, since nobody said that they bought the Xbox One, what made you guys choose one over the other?
The Xbox One's not very good, and the PS4 is.
Okay.
Simplifies it a bit, doesn't it?
Broadly, I have tried not to be a massive Sony fanboy, but after all of the mistakes that Microsoft made in their sort of their press build-up and all of the announcements, and after all the stuff that Sony did massively right, it kind of just made me think, why would I spend more money to have something that is less powerful, has more features that I can't use, and it is generally not as good when I could just have a PS4.
And that's the funny part about the Sony press conference that day, was they didn't really change anything. They kind of just stayed
Yeah.
And coming from the Microsoft press conference, that was just such an amazing thing. Like, I can actually still play used games like I could before. Oh my god, this is fantastic! Like, it was crazy.
I like how the last few minutes of Sony's conference just like bashing on Microsoft, and it was like, oh man,
That video, that PS4 share video,
oh my.
that was just the best.
That is just ultimate trolling.
And then I think Sony announced this week too at CES that about the streaming version. So
Mm.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
looks good. That looks very good. And
we'll
you can
have to
play
see
on
how
PC
much
as
it
well.
costs though.
Yeah, but I mean, playing PS4, PS3, PS2, and PS1 on PC sounds pretty awesome if you want to do it legally.
I mean, in the absence of backwards compatibility, I'd pay for it just, so I don't have to take my PS3 out of the closet every time I want to play a PS3 game.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have the
Yes.
massive advantage of having just moved into my own apartment, and because I have this perfect setup with my TV with PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, N64, GameCube, Sega Mega Drive, all plugged into one big TV. It's fantastic. I've
Yeah, I
never
will
had
say,
it.
64.
yeah, because I have a Vita and I do remote play sometimes, and it's really nice.
Nerd.
How is that, by the way? 'Cause I've been tempted by a Vita.
How is it?
Yeah,
It's
is it
amazing.
good? Does it run smoothly?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like it really depends on your Wi-Fi connection. 'Cause
It's there's a
sometimes
bit
it
of
gets
lag.
glitchy.
to it.
the
I
lag
just-
is
I've got to
bearable.
be honest, I don't know, I'm not coming across as a fanboy here, but I'm just saying, like, the Wii U has really got that whole streaming thing down. It's just instant. Whereas I don't know, when we tried the Vita, like, it's good, but I don't know. I
You
could
mean
see
on
it.
on that second touch on the pad? You mean?
Yeah, like the actual streaming of.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'll admit that. Like sometimes, I mean, really, the Vita is because the thing is with that pad, it's kind of like it goes with the console, whereas
Exactly,
the Vita is completely different thing from
over the internet,
PS4.
isn't
So
Yeah,
I-
it still looks pretty
I-
nice.
I was
Still a good
tempted for a
feature.
while by a Wii U, and I'd love to like it. There aren't any really standout games that I've seen come out. Nothing has interested me at all. I mean, Pikmin looks fun. That's not really going to sell me on a console though. And it
Pikmin
doesn't have.
is just-
It's not very forward thinking either. It doesn't have any future awesomeness. There's nothing good to come. It's all we're already at the peak of Wii U, and there's just some nice things
Yeah.
that.
I've
It's
said
actually
some
a
bad
Zero
things
UX
about it.
thing happening.
I'm not sure if that is a definitely. I don't think that's happening. I think that's just someone talking stuff. The thing I would say with it, like, over the last year, like my Wii U's probably been my most played console. I really like it. I like the hardware and everything, and I have enjoyed lots of games on it. But I think Danny's got a really good point in the sense that the hardware is underpowered. I'm not so much fussed about that because I've never been one for graphics. But the thing I would say is that it loses power at the expense of a gimmick, and the gimmick is just not used for anything in any real meaningful way. You know, I like having off TV play. I think that's superb. But again, you know, like Rexy was just saying, then you can do it on Vita, and it's more or less, you know,
The same thing.
it's kind of the same thing. You know, fair enough. It's maybe not as instant, but for what you get, it's still pretty damn good. And yeah, you know, in terms of the games, I mean, I've been playing things like, you know, probably definitely my most favorite game is like Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, which is superb, but it is just a Wii game, you know, a HD remake of a Wii game. So, you know, to sort of go, I can't really go out there and say, oh yeah, it's amazing, go and buy one, because, you know, next year it's Mario Kart, it's Bayonetta, and it's Smash Bros. And
in fairness,
that's all stuff
Monster Hunter, you use Monster Hunter as an example. I've been very, very happily playing that, and it looks lovely on my 3DS.
Exactly. I do like, well, it works for us because we have crossplay, so my housemate, he uses 3DS, I use my Wii U. But you're right, you can just play on 3DS, although you don't get online, which is a shame.
Yeah.
I think the same thing with Smash Brothers, right? Smash Brothers is the new one's gonna be on the 3DS too.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird.
Is it
I
still
did
gonna have
buy. Sorry, good.
Sorry, I was going to say, I don't think the 3DS version is going to have online.
Oh.
Which kind of, like, destroys the point, you know? It's like, well...
Yeah.
And the sort of connectivity, like, you can't sort of just play between systems. It's really, you know, like, if you just had online on all of them, you just have a much bigger player base, but...
The thing that I think, and this came up with PS4 quite sort of mainly, is that there's this big thing about online play and people want to connect to the internet. I play online on my on my PC, and I love that. That's one of the main reasons I play PC games. But playing consoles has never made me want to go online. I played Street Fighter Cross Tekken for a while online, and that was great. But what I now miss is split screen and multiple people on the same screen. You can't play Resogun local multiplayer.
What?
Yeah, I know. And Need for Speed, I've got Need for Speed Rivals, which is fun. It's a good game. It's a Need for Speed game. But again, you can't play split screen. It's a one-player game unless you go online.
My favorite example of this actually is I recently picked up Dead Space 3 because it was co-op, and you know I have a friend and he gets really easily scared, and I find that absolutely hilarious. So I figured, you know, I'll buy the game, I'll put it in PS3. We'll just play co-op. Except you can't play co-op in a co-op only game when you're sitting in the same room.
Seriously, I thought it was. Oh wow.
I guess that's one way to artificially boost sales.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm baffled. It would be like you couldn't play co-op in Borderlands together. Like that would be just remarkable.
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought it was. I thought it had split screen for some reason. I don't know why, but.
I've been trying to go through games to find games that have split screen, and there's the only game that has split screen on PS4 that I can find is FIFA. Well, that's fair enough. But other than that, there isn't anything, and I think it's something sorely lacking, because now I want to hang out with friends and play consoles and stuff like that, and it's a really sociable thing, and you can't.
There's a site.
Now you have to share.
I would say for a game like Dead Space, I can understand why, though. I mean, the multiplayer or split screen or what have you isn't really the draw of the game. So
yeah, the multiplayer
reason, it was omitted. I'm sure that's why. If Borderlands, like I agree with you, if they cut that feature out of Borderlands, that would be a much bigger loss than a game like Dead Space losing that.
Well, the issue with Dead Space is it wasn't the multiplayer that I was upset about. It's Dead Space 3 specifically is drop in and drop out co-op with this guy that they put in the game specifically so that you could do that, but they didn't allow you to do it sitting next to each other. And I think, Daniel, actually, they have this site called Co-Optimus, I think, and that site will let you just see all of the co-op and split-screen games because there aren't that many anymore.
That's cool.
That is actually really cool. I've never heard of it. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, it's a good site actually. I've used it a few times. Just sort of because some games sometimes they say like they come with co-op, and then you actually you check out what for example, I'm using an example like Halo 4. You know that Spartan Ops.
Oh yeah, I was so
mode,
disappointed when that wasn't.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like a big sort of overarching, massive ongoing campaign, and it turned out to just be firefight, but with a really, really loose narrative. And I kind of sometimes you want to find out more info. I think they do go into some detail on that site, so it's actually pretty good. So yeah, shout out to cooptimus.com.net. Whatever.
You know, you guys are listening.
.edu.
It's like
I know.
It's like
I
the
know
gamers are being pushed more towards being, solitary creatures, I guess, by yourself in the living room.
I know.
Big companies.
What did
expect
you say
everyone
about
to
me?
I guess
You're saying-
the
sorry,
big
Zach, you're
companies,
saying,
they just expect everyone to be online these days. So okay, maybe your friend's with you, but he can go home and log on to his 360, PS3, PS4, Xbox One, and play with you, albeit just in a different house. It is silly, and I do miss split screen games. Actually, the last split screen game I remember playing was Black Ops 2. But I mean, Halo 4 took away the split screen co-op. Halo Reach was the last, I think, Halo game.
No. Halo 4 has split screen co-op.
Does
Oh, does it?
Whoa,
Does
stop
I
right
played
there,
through
buddy.
it?
Nah, man, nah.
I did. I played it. I completed it on Legendary with my friend in split screen. It's definitely got split screen co-op.
Halo 4.
I'm
Yeah,
actually
Halo 4.
looking at the
It's got
disc. It
split
does
screen
say
co-op.
co-op.
Oh, sorry, yeah, no. So I'm talking of I'm thinking of Spartan Ops. Sorry.
Oh, you know, Spartan Ops is split screen.
Really?
No, you can or you can't. I don't know. I thought you
No,
could.
you can't. No, you can't play because that's what I remember. Like building it up with a friend, and we had to go back to
Oh.
Halo Reach because, online only.
Oh, right. I see. Okay.
2014, we have to bring back split screen co-op. That's what I want for 2014.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? It's yeah, I know what you mean. Actually, local multiplayer just seems to be a dying breed, and it's just I don't know why. Because surely I can understand wanting to get people to play online and buy an individual game and stuff.
The thing
but
is,
surely
why
you
do they still have? Why would they discontinue split screen if they're still gonna, have multiple controller inputs?
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's absurd. Yeah.
And
You can play with
especially
all these controllers by yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
You can hook
You
up
can
Use
eight
one as a bank
controllers.
scratcher.
if you think as well, if you get someone to come round and you play like a local multiplayer game or something, like some people may not own that game and then go, actually, because I've now played that, I'm going to go. Whereas it's very rare I'm going to invite someone around and go, hey, come round, we'll play this game with one player together. It'll be really fun. We'll take it in turns and
Watch me play.
Whereas no one wants to do that. It's like Halo. Like Halo as a game it's good and it's okay in single player, but it's a game which for me has to be played in split screen cooperative mode
I was going
because
to take
that's
something
what makes it
like
fun.
Mario Galaxy that had the second player. I think you could point the Wiimote at the screen and collect the stars or something.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. It may be silly, but at least it gives the second player something to do.
What? Player 2
Yeah.
just pointed at the screen?
Pretty
It's-
much, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a bit more involved, but
Could you
yeah,
also
it's not
twiddle your
very-
thumbs?
it's better. It was literally
third
better
player.
than sitting there just watching the first person play Mario.
Yeah, it's good for inexperienced players as well. Like if they don't really know what they're doing, people who don't play games much, you can be like, oh yeah, just have this and
Player 2
entertain
can
yourself.
scratch Mario's ass.
Player 4 could maybe just stick their thumb up their ass.
By the way, I know
Got the
I know
whole gang.
I know Rexley left, but he did mention the Vita, and I did pick one.
Rex is gone?
Yeah, man, he left ages ago.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
But he did mention the Vita, and I picked one of those up over the holidays, and it is absolutely fantastic. It is well worth the $179, I think it was, on Amazon. It came with Soul Sacrifice, Gravity Rush, Uncharted, Tearaway. Oh no, Tearaway I bought by myself. But those
all the games
Hotline
I'll play.
all of those came with the Vita and Walking Dead.
Those are all the games I want to play, and they all sound fantastic. The only one for me that's hurting me a bit, and is the reason I haven't definitely bought a Vita. I'm right on the cusp of buying one. Is Phantasy Star Online? They promised it, and now it's not happening.
Oh, it's terrible.
What's the Vita game where you move your finger on the back screen and it actually like punches into the game world?
That is Tearaway, and I've been trying to describe Tearaway to people, and I can only describe it as the fact that no matter how much of an asshole you are, Tearaway will break you and make you happy. It's such a happy. It's like Little Big. It's like Sackboy on steroids, where it will just make you happy just by playing it. And there's nothing else like it. And there's literally no other way to describe it. I've only played about an hour and a half.
Well, I was going to ask actually, because that's the one game which I've got my eye on, and I'm really sitting there.
There's an online petition to buy a copy of that for Martin.
We've got some serious echo going on.
Yeah, that's.
Hello.
You can buy, but I would support buying copies of Tearaway for like dictators and just general horrible people.
We brought down this political regime by giving them a copy of Tearaway.
It will break Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
That and I've heard Persona 4 that once you get started in Persona 4, it's just that's your life.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I don't really have a Game of Year 2013 because I didn't play that many games this year, purely because of some horrible clerical error which involved me not having an Xbox for a while, then me not having a TV but having an Xbox, and having a terrible laptop. So I've played a few rubbishy iOS games. I think the last game I played that was new was Injustice, which I kind of enjoyed.
I've heard some great things about that.
I mean, to be honest, it feels like Mortal Kombat Light. The campaign is kind of fun, but I guess the roster of characters, it's like they introduced some DLC character that was it Batgirl, which I thought was a bit naff. But yeah, no, it was fun. It just, I guess, having the fact that it follows Mortal Kombat's kind of fighting style completely, and then not having the same kind of ultra violence that Mortal Kombat had is kind of a bit of a letdown. But I suppose you can't really decapitate Superman. So no, I mean that was good, but I really actually can't recall playing anything new this year, which is terrible to my shame as a games enthusiast. But I did. I think I would have picked GTA 5.
That was really good.
If I'd played it.
I was wondering when that was going to come up.
It was really good. It wasn't like GTA quality. It was really good.
Was it better than GTA 4? I really enjoyed GTA 4.
In a lot of aspects, probably yes. Like the heists were really good, but I think the story in GTA 4 was probably better. As silly as it was probably better than 5.
A friend of mine said that the story in 5 it suddenly gets going, then very abruptly ends.
Well, I guess they brought 3 characters in, and that was supposed to be the draw of this one. But the characters don't actually change in any way. You know, by the end of the game, Trevor's still exactly the same person, Michael's still exactly the same person, and Franklin is still exactly the same person as he was before.
Yeah.
So it sort of felt like the big draw was a letdown.
I had a strange 2013. I didn't play any of the games that everyone thinks are the most amazing games. I didn't get to play GTA 5 because I bought it for my brother and I couldn't steal it off him. I didn't play Last of Us because I get scared easily and I thought maybe I might wet myself.
Oh, we have to do a Let's Play with The Last of Us then. I mean...
Is it that scary?
It didn't look that scary to me, but then I don't fear anything.
You're a veteran fan.
It didn't look that scary, but I fear
You don't
nothing.
have time to bleed.
That would have been the perfect time for Echo right there.
Yeah.
I do not fear The Last of Us.
The Last of Us, it has parts that are terrifying, but not the entire game.
Well, even like 5 seconds of terrifying is still enough to make me wet myself.
I think the only game that has legitimately scared me, is probably Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth.
Really?
Yeah, specifically this point where
Have
there's.
you ever played Amnesia?
Yeah, Amnesia bored the hell out of me.
I like Amnesia. Amnesia's good though. He's scary.
Honestly, I couldn't get used to the way the camera blurs, so I was just crap.
Have you ever played Slender Man? That's scary.
Yeah, that was pretty good actually. I enjoyed that.
That was fun.
I got scared playing Half-Life 2.
Yeah, well, Ravenholm is terrifying.
Yeah, actually, I'll give you
Ravenholm
that.
was pretty well tempered though by the fact that Father Grigory is hilarious.
Yeah, true.
I don't know why, but Pascal's going to be offended by this, but he always Pascal and Father Gregory are kind of like the same person for me. I don't know, they just remind me of one another. I can just imagine, turning it from Ravenholm, Pascal's just there with, a shotgun going, "Greetings, my brother!" I don't know why, I just,
Have any of you PC enthusiast people played Outlast? Because I've heard it was very good.
Oh, is that the camera phone one, isn't it?
Is that the camera phone?
Or is
I
that
don't think
Dying
so.
Light or Last Light or something? I can't remember.
Something like that. I know Outlast is the one that takes place in a jail.
Yeah, it's supposed to be utterly terrifying. For that very reason, stayed clear of it.
I was gonna get around to that during the Steam sale, but I didn't.
Yeah, I watched my brother playing. I watched through my fingers. My brother playing it. It was one of the first games he played on his new gaming rig, and it's not a game for me.
We've got Echo again.
Yeah.
It's not my volume this time. I changed nothing.
Oh, hell no.
So that's what they all say, Seb.
Mike!
I think that I feel specially positioned for the Steam machines because I own a Mac and have no desire to get a PC, but I kind of want to play some of the games.
Yeah, Steam
Should be
machines.
an edit.
I have a PC.
Yes.
Who's echoing?
It's not me. Me.
Oh,
You gotta stop doing that.
Whoa!
It makes it better because I can't hear any echoing whatsoever.
oh.
Crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Is it
Pascal, I think we haven't got your game of the year yet.
That's probably because I kind of like Dan and Deck. I don't really have one.
What is it? What's happening to you guys?
There was
need
so
to
many
sort
good
out
games
the
that
echo
came
here
out this
before we
year.
go on.
Okay, you want to know what scares me? This echo.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
You know what it is? This is EGM listening in to the podcast. To see if we say anything about that.
Here's the thing. If you rearrange EGM and substitute some letter for another letter, it spells out NSA.
Or, if you rearrange EGM, MEG, then add an S at the start, and then an A at the end. Oh wait, then an M and an A. Then you get smegma.
And there you have it.
I'm sorry,
guys.
I brought the whole program down a notch.
It sounds like we're coming to you live from the halls of Moria or something right now.
Yes.
My old gaffer's never going to believe this.
Is there still an echo on?
No?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
I think we're good.
Cool, perfect.
All right.
Hooray! Okay, I suppose we should probably cut all that out because.
It sounds like Pascal and Declan aren't too blown away by 2013.
Yeah, that's
No,
nice.
to be honest,
I wasn't too blown away by it either.
no.
I had the best year of gaming I think I've ever had.
Yeah, me too.
What the hell's going
I
on?
wouldn't go that far, but it was good. You know.
I think.
Well,
I mean, like, in all fairness, I didn't play many games this year through, my own fault. But I mean, looking back at what has come out and what I think I would like, I mean, BioShock Infinite, I mean, I stopped after 1 and played 2. It looks again like another very, very cinematic, hand-holding game, which looks cool, but I mean, I don't know. And like Tomb Raider, again, same thing.
Those were the 2 AAA games I played, and I wasn't really impressed with either one.
BioShock Infinite, for me, was probably the worst excuse for a AAA game of 2013. I thought there was just nothing of value in it. It was just...
You know, to quote Peter Griffin, it insists on itself.
Exactly. It's just such a. It's just all it is the first hour when you're walking around, you know, like Columbia, wherever the hell it is.
That wasn't even an hour. That was like 20 minutes.
Yeah, but like the atmosphere it gives off and stuff. You're like, wow, this is really good. This is really involved. Like, you know, there's so much cool stuff going on. And then you actually get to the gameplay, and you're like, this is just a really boring, mediocre shooter. Like, there's just nothing of value in this game whatsoever. And then the story just gets
guys
really
pop up and come around corners and you shoot them, and then another guy comes up, pops around the corner and you shoot him. And
exactly, it was just
the only difference I found between BioShock Infinite and some other shooter is, in this one you shoot people in the face and they have, you know, handlebar mustaches. That's about the only real difference.
when you're on a floating island.
I loved BioShock Infinite. I really did. I absolutely liked it. It was just weird for me to say because usually I hate everything, but it was
you hate us?
Not all of it. Okay. Scott's not here. So I have BioShock Infinite and you're playing BioShock Infinite for, like, you're supposed to be playing it for the story, I guess. That doesn't excuse how bad the gameplay was. I will concede that it was
I didn't think the story was that good, though.
But is it like a typical kind of contrived twist ending?
Yeah, it was really contrived.
That ending, I'm just like, okay. But the ending was the whole progression towards, the ending that made it interesting for me. Especially, I don't want to spoil it, but I think everybody hates it, so I'm just going to spoil it anyway. Okay.
You're not spoiling
cover your
anyway,
ears.
so go ahead.
To be honest, it doesn't matter if he spoils it. It's really not that good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was one of the more poignant moments for me was when you kill. See, I can't even remember the guy's name. When you kill Comstock, where you kill Father Comstock, and it's like usually that's supposed to be like the guy that you've been trying to kill this entire time, the reason for your existence in this game, and you get up to him and you finally get up to him and he's just like this weak, like pathetic man, and
you're gonna really spoil it right now. When you say spoiler, you're not half-assing
spare
it.
my life.
I definitely heard. Did you not say that it was okay to say it?
It's okay for me because I have finished it.
I think everyone that's going to finish it has finished it already.
Yeah.
I just spent the last 30 seconds, 40 seconds with my fingers in my ear, so it's all cool.
Oh, okay.
But he hasn't finished yet.
Okay.
I haven't finished it yet.
Well,
Fingers back in.
I would love to know if you like that game, because when it came out, I really liked it, and I hated 2. But all of the people that enjoyed it with me when the game came out, all of a sudden have just disappeared, like they were Giants fans or something, and just like So now the sense I get is that everybody hates it, but I can't believe that nobody found games that were good this year. Like Pokemon X and Y came out, Ni no Kuni came out.
That's my game of the year. Pokemon XY game of the year. Without doubt.
Now, I did pick a game that for Game of the Year. It's just like some of you guys, it's not a game that came out this year, but it's probably the one that I've completed this year that I like the most. But the reason I don't have a current game as my Game of the Year is because some of the ones that came out that, you know, by all accounts from what other people say are really good, I haven't played yet. I haven't played Grand Theft Auto 5. It's sitting here at my house. I think it's going to take such a time investment that I want to make sure that, you know, I'm, I guess, prepared to start on it at some point. I haven't played The Last of Us yet, and that's sitting around here, and I'll get to that eventually. And some of the other games that are probably really good I just didn't get. But I think the one I would pick is my favorite game that I personally played this year is Portal 2.
Really?
Portal 3.
It was fantastic.
I was underwhelmed. I love Portal 1.
Really?
It was underwhelming.
I've still yet to finish Portal 2. I've gotten
When
stuck
did
on.
Portal 2 come out? Wasn't that 2012 or something?
I think
it's
so.
like
I got
first
stuck
year.
on one of the chambers, and I'm just like, I don't care anymore.
I love Portal 2.
Yeah, I'd say
I will
it's
never
definitely
ever
my favorite.
understand the worship for the Portal series. I mean, I get that it was fun, but I mean the adoration for both Portal games just I
It's
don't know.
balanced,
Seems...
and it's actually quite. It's like the story's kind of clever because it's not a story, but it is.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like there isn't. Well, the story sort of. And the other thing, I think the story develops as you go along, and that kind of when it doesn't develop, it becomes like more prominent or apparent as you go along. And I think people like that. They sort of at first you're just like, oh, I'm fucking around in some weird place with some weird gun, and then it turns out actually no, I'm adhering to my own will, and it's sort of
Jack,
it's all
you know,
fucking weird.
If you could
do you
take-
know when? Oh, God, sorry.
Yeah, no, well, if you could strip away all the shooter elements from BioShock Infinite and just take the the atmosphere, I guess, and the setting.
So people just run into bullets on their own?
Sounds like Call of Duty.
I wish they ran into their own bullets in Call of Duty. It'd be a lot better at the online. So.
But I feel like that's the part I really like the most about BioShock Infinite. If you could do that, then you would kind of have what I liked about Portal 2, which isn't so much the puzzles, but more the atmosphere and the feel of the game. The story too, but that was kind of a secondary concern in that game.
Okay, I'll put it on the line. What I really, really hated about BioShock Infinite is that it uses quantum mechanics as magic, which to me is just bad Star Trek Voyager writing. It's like, oh, we're just going to explain it. It's quantum mechanics, which is magic.
Oh,
Yes.
quantum mechanics.
So they don't have to bother to explain anything. They just say, oh, it's quantum mechanics. Yeah.
That's very true, actually. Yeah,
that annoyed the crap out of me because, some games will, put a lot of thought into how the universe works. That's one of the things I liked about Mass Effect. That, the titular Mass Effect field actually, makes sense within the context of the universe because running an electrical current.
Detailed.
Yeah. If you're not going to take the time to, think about how the universe works, then then call it magic. Call it magic if it's going to be magic. Don't call it something it's not.
If they had Troy Baker doing the voiceover to explain how it works, would that have been a plus or a minus in your book?
If it was Alec Trebek doing the voiceover, I would have liked it.
Ryan Blessed, that would have been the best one.
Quantum mechanics!
Where's that echo?
Oh. It's
Yeah, I
back.
can't. See, I have headphones on. It's not me this time.
I don't hear
No, but I can't believe you guys said 2013. Even the indie games like Papers, Please and Gone Home came out.
Papers, Please was
John,
good. I liked Papers, Please.
Right.
This is the problem with indie gaming. I think it's not very indie anymore. No, Chad, was it you that was saying you were talking about the pretentiousness of indie games on the Steam store? I think it was a tweet of yours, but it was anyway, go on, Chad.
What?
You wrote a tweet saying how
Chad, now.
you're complaining about indie games on Steam, all right?
Oh, all right. Let's see if I can summon up the spirit
Sure,
of
if you
that
say
tweet.
so, Deck.
I think it had something to do with, it's like, oh, indie games, oh, it's another quirky platformer with 8-bit style graphics, or
That's
oh,
it, that kind of stuff.
or,
Yeah.
oh, it's another roguelike, even though I don't know what that term really means.
Those sorts of games that I want to play. It's the games that have an old school feel, but have all of the mechanics of new school games. I want to play those games, and that's why
I know some of them definitely have an audience, but I get pretty bored of seeing another Braid or what's the other one, Fez clone.
The thing that I
Yeah.
was going to say is my game of the year, aside from being Pokemon, might actually just be the Humble Bundle in general. The number of Humble Bundles I bought this year, just off the back of awesome indie games, is massive.
I bought a lot of Humble Bundles.
I think I skipped 2 this year, and that's saying something, because I usually stock up maybe 2 or 3 games and play them throughout the year. And this year I have played so many games, a lot of which were Humble Bundle games.
Sorry.
See, I find a lot of those I don't end up playing for very long.
I think I'm with Deck in the sense that, and also Chad in the sense that lots of these indie games, like, I don't know, there's a quirk or there's a gimmick to it, but essentially at the same, they're not really doing anything drastically different. And I think a lot of them, like, the focus is on this sort of this quirky or this, this sort of retro presentation, and not a lot of thought has actually gone into the sort of the gameplay mechanics, which they go, it's simple because it's indie, but it's like, well, it doesn't have to. It can still be simple and still be good, Like,
indie game for the sake of indie game. I mean, it's like actually we were talking about Resogun being an indie game, but is it really an indie game? It's a PS4 launch title essentially. What makes an indie game? Is it a programmer by himself in a bedroom,
or is it the approach that programmer takes?
I think it's
true,
probably
actually,
that it was independently published by the developer, and that's.
But by that criteria, a lot of indie games don't actually qualify because, like, I remember Bastion being brought up as a big indie game, but it's published by WB. They're hardly an independent publisher.
Yeah.
I think it's because it originally came out as self-published and it got picked up pretty quickly.
I don't think you really need to classify them anymore. Like, you can, it doesn't really
what
matter
separates
so much.
indie games from just being games?
That's the point, is that they are just games. And with reference to what you were saying earlier, like, I can see your point with things like Retro City Rampage, where it's like, and maybe Hotline Miami, where you can tell that these are old style games presented with new style controls. But with things like Papers, Please, like, they're so different from anything that I could possibly get anywhere else that it seemed to me like they were worth a try. I haven't actually played Gone Home yet, but
have you played Faster Than Light? Because that was spectacularly good.
Faster Than Light was fun.
I have that on a Humble Bundle, and I have not played it.
Faster Than Light's the best game I played in 2013 that didn't come out in 2013 by a long, long way. It was sensationally good.
Yeah, Faster Than Light, like, it not in the gameplay, but in the way it felt, I guess, the way the game, I don't know how to describe it. It's that intangible sense. It reminded me a lot of Star Control, so I liked that.
Yeah, it's for me a little bit unique because there's no game that's made me feel quite like that. There aren't many games that have approached gameplay in the same way, because I know there are a lot of games that shared elements with Faster Than Light, but Faster Than Light took lots of games' elements that have already existed, put them in a really lovable, sort of squashed down 2D interface, and made it really, really enjoyable. And I blasted through that. It was so good.
I don't understand. From what I saw, I've only seen like the trailer and like bits of gameplay, but what is it about Faster Than Light that would make you feel? It just looked like a resource management game. Like, I don't know what.
It's like a resource management, space combat, text-based RPG with elements of squad-based combat, and it's fiendishly difficult.
You had me at resource management. There hasn't been a good tycoon game in a long time. That's what I miss.
Yes,
SimCity was good.
Yeah,
SimCity unfortunately was good. I hate saying that because I don't want to have to admit that I liked a game that everyone else hated. But
I don't mind admitting that.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. The only thing that let me down.
Then again, I don't mind doing the opposite too.
That's true. The thing that let me down with SimCity was the city size, and that's something that everyone talks about, but it actually does really impede the amount of fun you can have with it. I had an enormous amount of fun for about 15 hours, and then couldn't play it anymore because I'd already maxed out 3 cities and my region was full. And after that, it's kind of like trying to complete the same game 4 or 5 times when you've already got the achievements unlocked. It's boring. If they made the cities bigger, it'd be great.
I don't think people hated SimCity because the game was necessarily bad. It was just that it was always online.
Ridiculously bad.
For no reason.
But
and
the UK missed that. I missed that. I got the launch title, and by that time it had already been over. And on top of that, I got the plus side of getting Mass Effect 3 for free, which I didn't have already, because they apologised to everyone who bought a launch title, bought Launch Sim City.
You can't play it offline though, can you?
No.
See, that would put me off. You see.
Yeah.
But I can't. I don't play any of my. I can play Steam offline, but I don't ever. So it doesn't really bother me. And to be honest, the advantage was that I could play with a couple of my other mates who got it and my girlfriend. We were all playing in the same region, and
but see, people like me though. I mean, I only recently got a proper, because being in Ireland where we only have carrier pigeons, they've just recently invented the internet. So I only recently had a good Wi-Fi connection, so I would never have been able to play the new SimCity, which is annoying, because it was online only.
And I think the thing with it is it's not so much that it's online only; it's the fact that it's online only for no real reason. They claimed it was because there was too many computations or whatever the fuck it was that needed to be done server side, which is bollocks because cloud gaming has proved that the download rate or something like that is something like 1 megabyte a second. There's no way in hell that half that stuff could work on a cloud basis. So they were just lying about it, and it even got proved that they were lying about it.
That played it offline and said that I've run the whole game offline and I've made the cities bigger than they're supposed to be, and nothing happened to my PC that was detrimental.
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's anything. There's something wrong with online only with stuff. Certainly if you're playing a multiplayer game, then obviously, what's the point of booting it up if you're not going to play it online? But I don't know, something like that. It was.
Let me play a game the way I want to play
it. Game, effectively. Fair enough, it has a multiplayer elements, but
this goes back to split screen gaming disappearing. It's all about shoehorning in a certain style of play.
Exactly. The thing I wanted to do before we sort of move on, because we are essentially running out of time, but before we move on to 2014 and sort of do a quick cover of that, there's one game I wanted to bring up, which is my game of the year. Which also covers split screen gaming, as you were just saying, Deck, is Rayman Legends. It's not a Nintendo game. I did play it on Wii U, but my game of the year was Rayman Legends, and I have to say that's probably one of the most creative, and in terms of gameplay, just pure, unadulterated fun that I've ever had with a game. It's just absolutely superb. And I'm so annoyed that it did not sell as well as it did. It sold, I think a couple of million tops or something, and that was after going on sale multiple times. If you have not played it, play it, because it is just absolutely fantastic.
Yes, sir.
The thing that interested me, or the reason I didn't buy Rayman Legends was because I couldn't really tell what the difference was from, which game do I have here? Origins? I think, yeah.
Yeah, I had trouble differentiating there too. I was like, did I already buy this, or
if you could tell me the difference, I would probably buy it as we're speaking. I just wanted to know.
It's hard to say outright, but essentially, what I'd say is the ideas and the level design in Legends is just far superior. It's kind of like they just had loads of great ideas for different levels. Like you have these sort of music-based stages where you run through, and essentially every sort of like punch or item pickup or something like that is sort of related to the beat of the music, and it's essentially like a sort of like almost like an endless runner in that sense, of course. Although you sort of, it is not endless because you get to the end of the song, but it's incredibly difficult, and it has some really good. It works best on Wii U because it had some really good use of sort of touchscreen where one of you's actually playing the level, whereas the other person's manipulating the level to allow you to get through. So, they're using the touchscreen to move platforms along or to cut things out of the way. And at first when you do it, it's like, oh, well, this is just kind of gimmicky, it seems kind of easy, it's just me chopping stuff down and, moving platforms. But as you get further into the game, when things get insanely difficult, that element is actually incredibly hard because you have to time things so well. Like there's one bit where you have to, you have to jump you have to go up vertically basically, and I think something's coming up from the bottom, and the only way you can do it is by the person with the touchscreen, or the controller rather, has to keep moving these two platforms up, left and right, and you have to sort of keep wall jumping off of them as they get moved up. And of course, the problem is that if they don't move the platforms in time with your jumping, you end up jumping into your death or onto a spike or something like that. And it's just fun though, fair enough. It's not really new in sort of the concept, it's just a 2D platformer, but
Hey,
and it's
gameplay.
Exactly. Well, it's unlike me to sort of go out and to sort of say like, because I do enjoy Nintendo games and stuff like that, but it just made Mario look really bad. I played Mario 3D World this year and I really enjoyed it, but it was just nothing compared to Rayman Legends, which I just thought was absolutely brilliant.
Hearing some of these, I'm sorry.
I was going to say it's just as a local co-op game, it's absolutely brilliant. So there's still a few great examples.
Just listening to just the conversation in general, this kind of reaffirms to me, though. For me, this past year has mostly been like playing games out of my backlog. Anything from who knows how many years ago. I think in some case, like for example, I just finally finished Grand Theft Auto 4.
Really?
And I think that's 5 years old or something along those lines. So I've been playing a massive amount of games, just old games. And it's alarming how little I've kept up with just the industry in general, because I knew I wasn't going to be buying any kind of new launch console or anything. So I'm not as well informed as some of you guys are on those fronts. But listening to everything you guys are saying, Rayman Legends, Ni no Kuni, GTA 5, Last of Us, and Faster Than Light, like what you were saying a moment ago, Dan and Chad. Do you know how much freaking fun I'm gonna have this next year just playing? Because now, I didn't have to go out there and buy 5, invest money on 5 games just to find one that's excellent. So now I'm hearing about all these games that I missed out on. And I can pretty much guarantee to have just a solid year of gaming ahead of me. It's just going to be older games, but that's okay.
2013 I caught up on a lot from 2012. Endless Space I hadn't played until 2013, and that's something else. That's pretty special. It's the best RTS I've played in many, many years. There have been a lot of good games from the last sort of 2 or 3 years that I hadn't played until 2013. And equally ones that I had played long ago in the past, like Baldur's Gate 2, which I replayed in the HD version, which has been fantastic. I think 2014 is going to be a lot about what new gen can bring, and also for me a lot about catching up. Like I recently got Fire Emblem, but it's still sitting in its wrapper on my desk.
Same.
Desperate to play that, but haven't had the time yet. So.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things about Fire Emblem, and I keep meaning to play it, but it's exactly the same situation as you. I bought it like a couple of weeks after launch, and it's not been opened once. And I just sit there and go, I need to play this, but I want to make sure I have the time to play it.
The thing that drew me to it, apart from all the positive reviews, is Martha's my favourite character on Smash Bros, so I have to play.
Is that where he comes from?
Yeah, that's Fire.
I had no idea where he was from.
Yeah, Martha
the more you know.
I'm reminded of the Zero Punctuation where he was reviewing it, and he's like, "Who the fuck is Moth?"
Hello?
Hello. Oh, I think we lost you for a second there, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did lose. Yeah, I disappeared.
Oh. We were just talking about Fire Emblem.
I
what I was going to say,
Fire Emblem
what I was going to say was moving forward, because we have only so much time left really before this becomes, well, it's probably wasting internet bandwidth as it is, but wasting more than is required. Dan, you were saying obviously you're looking forward to what 2014 is going to bring in terms of sort of the quality of games and ideas and things like that. And I just want to see what are people in general looking forward to, because I think that's a very good point. I think I'll quickly interject with my personal point of view before I shut up, which is I think so far with the new systems, and this includes even Wii U and pretty much everything, is that I've not really seen anything massively new yet, especially the Xbox One and PS4. I mean, I've not picked them up myself personally because I feel the games they're offering essentially are either their old generation games with slightly better graphics, or they're new games which have got old generation ideas. You know, I'm sort of waiting for the next big thing, which goes to go, right, I can't do that on another console. And I don't mean about just graphics, I'm talking about gameplay.
I think the key thing is that these consoles aren't trying to do anything. They've gone back to PC. They are literally using x86 architecture, which means that they're running exactly what my PC in my bedroom can run. But every game that comes out will be massively optimized for running on a single console with particular input without the ability to tinker with it. And so games like Killzone, for example, the draw distance that you get in Killzone makes... I mean, my PC is £1,500 and my £350 PlayStation 4 blows it away for draw distance on Killzone. And there are certain things like that I'm really excited for. The number of voxels you get in Resogun is so awesome, and it's because the game is specifically written for a machine that can do that. People playing PC games, some can't keep up and they get dropped by the wayside, and some are just about keeping up and they're playing the game. But that means that developers have got to write for all manner of different systems, all sort of variations of different PC station. And with the PS4 and to some extent the Xbox One, what we're going to see is games that can do more with the hardware that we're given. I mean, the number of individual objects that you see in Resogun, if you put that in the context of something like a first-person shooter or an RTS or anything really, it's going to be absolutely spectacular and so much fun to just watch. It's going to be a beautiful experience, not just a fun game.
So, are you referring to the visual side of it, but you also mean like the scale of it?
Yeah.
Are you saying first-person shooters, you're thinking more enemies and things like that, or?
Yeah, more enemies. When you blow up I don't know, you'll be able to individually blow up chunks of buildings, and I know that's been done before, and it's been a gimmick before. But the things that make things feel more real, as games get closer to reality, and thus we're able to do more amazing things with them, you're going to start seeing things like the ability to physically alter the world permanently in your game, and have that feel realistic, not just feel like you've blown a chunk out of a wall and it's the same chunk you blew out of the last wall.
It's quite funny what you say about altering a game world sort of permanently. I mean, that's an idea which has been floating around in gaming for quite some time now in terms of the sort of the theory. I mean, funny if the N64 DD drive was essentially trying to do that in the sense that if you played a game of Zelda and you cut down a tree or something, not a tree, but like a shrub or whatever it is, you know, the grass, you would cut it down and it would stay cut down because that's what that technology enabled you to do. So yeah, I quite like that idea of you can permanently sort of alter a game, because if you can make it more your own, then it's sort of more your... It doesn't matter whether you get down to the sort of I suppose the gameplay mechanics. If you can sort of make it feel like your own game, a bit like how Mass Effect with all its own choices and stuff, it's your own experience and it doesn't really relate to what everyone else has done. Would be quite cool.
Until the last 5 minutes.
Until the last 5 minutes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Oculus Rift.
That is going to be pretty cool.
I mean, I tried the developer prototype back in the summer, and it was like the SD version, and it was certainly impressive. And I thought at the time it needed, they needed a bit of refinement. It needed like an HD, version. And I was kind of getting a bit of motion sickness, which I never have ever gotten from games before. But with this, it was quite it was taxing on the eyes. But I mean, with Valve on board, with ID's Mr. Carmack, as I think he's the CTO of Oculus now. With him on board, I think we can see some really awesome things. And now with that thing that was at the CES, that kind of capacitive sort of, I guess it's like a giant touchpad that you can like walk on, and you're strapped into
the omnidirectional treadmill.
Yes. The omnidirectional treadmill with the Oculus Rift will be pretty epic. I mean, I think like VR is certainly in my mind like the ultimate goal for games, as just putting you into the game as much as possible. And from what I hear, like the new version of the Oculus Rift, the Crystal Cove, I think it's called, is supposed to be excellent. So that I think would be my big one.
Yeah, I think that's going to be quite fun for as stuff like that comes out, I think it's going to be entertaining, but I do think that to some extent a lot of that stuff is going to be gimmicky. And also something like an omnidirectional treadmill plus Oculus Rift plus a machine that can play it is going to be rather steep on the price front.
The thing is, I think the Oculus Rift could actually, benefit from actually kinds of games that, have been kind of pushed to the wayside. I mean, because, you'd need an omnidirectional treadmill and all this extra equipment to, do something like a first-person shooter. But like a racing game or a space shooter, you don't need that much equipment for that. You can do that with a wheel or with a joystick.
I'd be in favour of getting some space sims back into this.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine like X-Wing with that?
But any game that benefits from you being able to look over your shoulder or look around the cockpit you're in or anything like that.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Exactly.
Yeah, Space Citizen with the Oculus Rift would be incredible.
I think the other thing as well,
Yeah, I mean, do you think they could get me a custom Darth Vader helmet, Oculus Rift?
With the voice changer.
Yeah, with a voice changer. I have you now.
I think it would be like a chick magnet.
Let's contact EA and see if they want to do something, because they've got the license, so it's up to them.
I have more humble excitement for 2014, if I'm honest. I'm just looking forward to games. Destiny, Watch Dogs, Witcher 3, they're all looking spectacular. And, I mean, I sat in Eurogamer and just drooled over all of them and wished I was playing them right now. And that's, I think, what I want from games. I just want to be playing them. I want to wish I'm playing them. Ever since I stopped playing Guild Wars, I haven't had a game that has had me sort of give hundreds and hundreds of hours to it. The closest I've probably come is Skyrim, and Guild Wars 2 to some extent, but Guild Wars 2 just didn't quite scratch the itch. So I think if 2014 can give me a new game to play that scratches my hundreds of hours of obsession itch, then that would be pretty good. Destiny, I think, might do that.
I'm actually, for 2014, I think what I'm most interested in is so it's so strange because you hear this like every year, but I feel like the game industry has actually legitimately changed, partly thanks to simple things like the fact that The Walking Dead sold a ton, and as a consequence of that, people, or it seems like more story seems like it's more important for games. So we'll end up with games that wouldn't have otherwise existed. I would think. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, back in like the Guitar Hero and Rock Band heyday, like I was looking at the E3 press conference and everything was a shooter just all day, every day. And I feel like everybody remembers that, but I don't feel that same way now. I feel like that, we have different things. We have even stupid things like dive kick or something. Like, it seems like it's legitimately more diverse than it was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think my thoughts on this is that it's weird because you guys seem quite, what's the word, sort of, I suppose, positive about the next year in game. I don't know, I'm leaning towards the opposite. I'm sort of being, I want to say, sort of cautiously pessimistic, because from the way that gaming has been going over the last few years, I don't like the direction it's going in, with multiple facets of it. Be it, sort of nickel and diming of gamers, generic gameplay templates get reused, year in, year out. That this humongous emphasis on graphics, which it just means nothing, to me. I don't really care how a game looks. A game at the end of the day is a toy. It should be fun. If it can have great graphics and do that as well, then that works for me. My problem with it is that development studios, I think, with the PS4 and Xbox One being as similar as they are, we're going to start seeing more games which can sort of be made for both systems, which means you're probably going to get less sort of really sort of quirky and unique ideas, perhaps for each individual system. But I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. The thing with new technology is that new things do come along. But in the last generation's anything to show by was 360 and PS3. Yeah, we had some great games and stuff, but the majority of the stuff was fairly similar to what came the generation before, but it just had better online multiplayer. You know?
But isn't that the same? Isn't that the same of PS2 to PS1? I mean, PS1, PS2, PS3. They've never had gimmicks or and the same is true of Xbox and 360.
I don't know. For its time, I think the PS1 had some gimmicks. I mean, it had, you know, it's easy to forget this stuff looking back, but I mean, for a game console, it had, you know, FMV cinemas on the disc. It had, you know, CD quality sound, you know, in a time when everything was...
I think Dan is saying, like, from the first PlayStation to the third one, not from anything prior to the first PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying here is that that's the point exactly, is that there's not a lot of difference between each iteration of consoles, and that's my problem, is that, okay, there are obviously key changes, but the fact is the gameplay changed from, say, the SNES/Mega Drive to the PS1, Saturn, N64, Dreamcast, whatever you want to, you know, class in that generation. That was huge, and obviously, you know, going from 2D to 3D is going to be a huge event, but we've not seen like another sort of, I suppose, humongous shift in gaming. It seems to be like everyone's run out of ideas, and they just... It sounds
like you're sad about games for the last 20 years, because we're talking nearly 20 years ago that PlayStation 1 came out, and the change between PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 4 is minimal. It is the immersion in the world, the aesthetics, the ability to have more gameplay in an individual game.
But there's not more gameplay, though. That's my argument, is that there's less game. For example, recently I've been playing Return to Castle Wolfenstein on the PC, or Enemy Territory to be specific, because that one's still free and people still actually play it online. And what amazes me with that is that game online has so much more depth than, say, Call of Duty, Halo 4, Killzone Resistance, whatever you want to call it. It has such a better online system than those games does. It's class-based, it's team-based, it requires actual teamwork, and it seems like games are sort of just being dumbed down. Like, especially with COD, it's just, what is your progression in COD Online? You know, there's no, it's not important if you win a game in COD. Like, it doesn't actually make any real difference. If you win a game, you get a few more points, but the reality is that you can play COD Online as a almost entirely single-player experience where everyone else is more or less a bot, and people don't have to play as a team because their success as an individual player doesn't depend on it. Something like Halo 2, for example, you know, the ranking system in that game was you win the game. If you don't win the game, your rank goes down. And the amazing thing I find is that people in that game used to communicate and actually use their headsets, whereas now nobody talks, and you know, it's all about, I need to unlock the next attachment for my gun. It's like, well, who gives a fuck about that? Like, you know, that's not really what's... Don't get me wrong, I think Call of Duty is actually, in terms of gameplay, is actually quite a fun game. But I just don't like how there's not this... There seems to be this focus on sort of creating the same thing with slightly better graphics. It's like,
but I wonder, are you describing a change in the industry or a change in the gamers and the consumers of the...
I think
it's funny because myself and Martin were talking about that before. I mean, we were saying, well, perhaps around like 2008, 2009, we sort of experienced an influx of much younger gamers, and that perhaps has kind of it's altered the gaming ecosystem in a way.
It's the chicken and the egg. I mean, the industry changes in response to the consumer, and the consumer dictates what. I don't know.
Well, you're not talking about cool gamers. You're talking about everything else. You're talking about 4 franchises, effectively. You're talking about Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed. You're talking about what are the other big ones that are basically sellouts? You're talking about people who pick up a console to buy 4 games and maybe buy a couple of fringe games like FIFA and things like that, and they don't play anything else. We're not talking about. I mean, to say that the industry
the thing is, these games individually do sell quite a bit more than, you know.
Well, they do. They do, but I mean, in terms of playing time, a Call of Duty game will take up about 30, maybe 40 hours for me, and I play a hell of a lot of games, but I play thousands of hours of games a year, and the number of games that I have on my Steam that I've played this year is crazy. So comparing Call of Duty, which fair enough, it sells well, the fact that it sells well doesn't mean that it gets played more. It just means that more people play it.
I think
It still
I think the
takes
thing we
30 hours
remember
out
is-
of 1,000 hours.
But the thing which comes with that, though, is that you're talking about sort of 4 big franchises, but you've got to think like the last 4 years of gaming has essentially been influenced by these things. Almost every first-person shooter that's come out has, in some way, tried to mimic the success of Call of Duty, because anyone who's a developer knows that the success of a game lies in its online community. If people continue to keep playing it.
Well, how about Counter-Strike Global Offensive or
But those are very
Strikes,
niche
neither
games,
of
though.
which both
They
of
are
which
still niche games, though.
I don't know. Global Offensive still has some
larger
Call of Duty
population
influence in it because, I mean, there are unlockable things in it.
And
Yeah,
Tribes
but-
Ascend has much larger tournaments than Call of Duty would have, just
That's
because of the
definitely
nature
true.
of the game.
It seems like what you're sort of describing is, if I were to make an analogy, like basing the entire industry sort of just on like the movie industry, like basing the entire movie industry on like the biggest, like the summer blockbusters, which is like you were saying, sort of both good and bad. You have the fact that people will take the next ideas that come out in Grand Theft Auto. Those are going in. Things from Grand Theft Auto 5 are going in every game that's coming out right now. And we know that, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. What you'll end up with is a lot of people, or a lot of games that will do similar things, but not necessarily like bad ones.
Exactly. But this thing, I'm not trying to sort of say that everyone in the games industry is trying to do exactly the same things. It's not, and it's true, because when you look at indie games, there are lots of them which are doing different things. My question with some indie games, which is what we sort of touched on earlier, is that I think lots of games, they have a quirk, they have a gimmick, or they have a nice sort of art style or nice presentation, but there's not... People seem to have forgotten this core mechanic of what makes a game, and that's gameplay. Like, some games you think, oh, this is really cinematic, it's got a really engaging story, and I feel like I'm part of the world and stuff, and which it presents. And then you're like, well, that's great, but what's it actually like to play? And then it's like, oh, well, the gameplay's kind of standard, but like you just get involved in the atmosphere and stuff. And I think,
Now
if
you're
I want to
talking
do
preference, though, because I would rather play a game with a good story than a game with really niche gameplay.
It's not niche gameplay I'm after, though. I'm talking about good gameplay in general. To give I suppose a typical example would be a Mario game, Mario 3D World, which it's reviewed world across the board, everything. That is a game which it has no story whatsoever, but it has fantastic gameplay.
Stale gameplay.
It's not stale gameplay. It's incredible. You think of stale gameplay, the thing that comes to my mind is the Assassin's Creeds, most action games where there's just Force Unleashed, for example, stuff like that, where there's no real thought put into the gameplay actual
But for
mechanics.
me, now
it's just a case of
preference. I would not pick up Mario
depends.
3D World and think it was a good game for gameplay. Nintendo, for me, have become incredibly stale, and that's why I haven't picked up their latest console. The games that they're releasing are basically the same games that they've been releasing for 30 years. They're just rehashes of the same thing, but with a nicer aesthetic. And don't get me wrong, the games are good. I'm still picking up Smash Brothers and playing Smash Brothers, and I'm having massive amounts of fun with Project M, which is the new modified version of Smash Brothers. This sort of like fan modded version, and it's great. It's really good, but that's not good gameplay because it's the same gameplay we've been playing for 30 years.
Well, does good gameplay necessarily have to mean innovative gameplay?
No, it doesn't. But I think that's the point that Martin was making, in that what you're saying is you don't like shooters because they're all the same, but you like Mario 3D World because
I do like shooters. I didn't say I don't like shooters at all. I'm saying in general, my issue with the industry is that it seems to just take a template and it keeps reapplying the same template. What I'd like to do is, by all means, have this. I'm not saying people need to go out and make a brand new genre by any means. God no. We've pretty much reached that point where all genres have been made. What I'd like to see is, rather than make the same sort of product and just put better graphics on it, I'd like to see new sort of gameplay ideas, not just we've got a brand new engaging story which is really fun, because it's like, well, if I really want that great a story, I would just rather watch a film, because a film can tell me a really good story in a lot less time. Whereas, I don't know, I can't think of the ideas myself because I'm not a games developer, but what I'd like to see is games which just, something which goes, wow, this is really addictive, I really want to keep playing this. And it's not because the game is a grind and it's boring, and I'm doing it because I want to get the next cutscene. I want to play it because it's just fun to play. If you see what I mean.
What you did describe was that you don't like cookie cutter games, but you do like Mario 3D World, which is the same as every other 2D Mario 3D-esque game, like all of the new ones that have been coming out on Wii and things like that, which are all fun, and I enjoy them, and they're great Mario games. But they're the same as every other Mario game.
I would say with that, I mean, I don't know if you've played it or not. To say that they've all got the same element to them, though, I mean, it's just that's kind of like being really a simplistic view of it, because Mario is, at the end of the day, you jump around from platform to platform and stuff, but something like Mario Galaxy 2 is absolutely nothing like Mario.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I think I get what's going on. I mean, like with platform games like Mario, like okay, yeah, you're playing another Mario game. You're going from X to Y, rescuing Princess Peach. But I mean, like the levels themselves are quite imaginatively designed. And the mechanics themselves are always quite interesting. Like you're going to have to take on a level in a different way. Whereas with shooters, I mean, it is essentially the same thing, but with a different story and in a different place. But like the actual mechanics don't change.
But the same is true of Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed has taken the same cookie cutter approach and has done the same thing as Mario has. But Assassin's Creed gets criticised for it because they release a game every year. And fair enough, I didn't pick up Revelations or Assassin's Creed 3 because I'm tired of playing the same game. But for the same reason, I didn't buy a Nintendo Wii or a Nintendo Wii U to play the same games that were available on GameCube and N64.
On that note, we should probably wrap up as we go for some time. Has anyone got any final thoughts? Before we go?
Well up for 2014. Bring it on.
Yeah, gangster.
In it. I
think the general feeling there is everyone's feeling quite positive. Perhaps with the exception of myself, but I am going to, I said cautiously.
I'm feeling negative about it, but hey, I'm negative about it. It's everything.
You're going to be playing X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, aren't you? And that's it. So.
Chad, you just take your beta blockers.
Do you remember the last time Chad made a positive statement? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Oh dear. Right, well, on that note then, we shall close off. I'm sure we'll have another podcast at some point in the near future.
I would love to hear our same thoughts at the end of this year, just to see what happened.
Yeah. Some of the exact same. 2014 was okay, but...
Well, 2014 was the year that I got to play great games such as Grand Theft Auto 4, Portal. Everyone playing their old catalogs.
I think 2015 is going to be different this time. I really think so.
Excellent. Right. Well, on that note, I shall bid farewell to ye faithful warriors. It was good to have a chat with everyone again, and I'm sure we shall have another podcast soon.
Yes, indeed.
Depending on when.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Let's Sooner do it than again.
You think. Tomorrow.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Yes.
Got to service the old lady.